So it's now the beginning of February after a cold January, back in the garage, just to continue with a few bits and pieces. Bonnet's back on after it's been outside. It was just put on to try and keep some muck out of the engine bay while I did a bit of sanding. It needs a good clean on the inside of it. The washers, the washer line's broken there. It needs a new piece of pipe on it, which I've ordered, and some new elbows because they're not in the best of condition. Along with the windscreen washers, I've connected up the headlight washers as well. This side is the bottle for the windscreen, and then on this side, which I've not put the nozzle in yet, that one's for the headlamp washers. There's one there. They had to get connected up, pipe along the bottom, and a junction round the back of there. The polystyrene bumper formers are back on. The bumper, the brackets that go through there and fasten on to the front of the wing were in a bit of a state. So I've cleaned those up. The bolts were non-existent, so I put new bolts on and just a tack weld on each one to hold them in place. And then these go, where do they go? And go in there. So now, no, not that side, maybe this side. Yep, it goes in there with a plastic stud in each one of those and an M6 nut on them, and they just pull them in towards there. This one was a right bastard to get out because it was rusted and spinning, and it's that top bolt there which you have to go in right along the wing with a long extension. They took ages. I had to bend them, and I ended up going down with a hacksaw and sawing the things off on both sides. So again, I've put new bolts in, and I've just put JB weld on the back of them because I can't really get a spot weld on there without melting all the bumper down. So I hope that holds out. The holes for the lights, these are like just a transparent light, so when the headlight is in the down position, it sits about there. Oh, bollocks. It's got JB weld on the back of it. And the headlight shines through when you give a flash, so the headlight doesn't have to pop up when you flash the lights, which is quite good. But like I say, I've got JB weld on the bolt holes. I've just about gone all the way through. So I've put some JB weld in there. I'm just going to drill a hole and tap it, as there's no fastening. The bolt comes through this way into the back of the light. So that goes, another one, that goes in from the front, and then you screw through the bumper into there. So I'll just put a small M5 thread or something through into that, and then I can fasten them on. I didn't actually show the front of these, but one of them was in a pretty manky poor condition, so I've done a bit of sanding, and they've come up quite nice. Bit of scratches on them still, but so I went with a 150 and a 600 and a 1200, and then I've run the sanding wheel all over it, so not the polishing wheel all over it, and they've come up all right. The side lights indicator module, that just goes through the bumper. Self tappers and some U-bolt retainers just go in there. I'll stick them in when it's had a wash. So that should be that. There's some new fastenings along the bottom there, which are for these holes. I'm pretty sure there should be a lip or a splitter or something on the bottom, which is totally missing. That wasn't on the car. It's probably unavailable now, so that's just going to have to stay off. Yeah, and then down to the escape hatch door lock bodge that was done. It was cut open. It was cut if you remember, and folded back so you can get access to the door lock. The door lock works okay now. Welded up the little flap that was in there. Just put a few tack welds around it, put some filler over it, and that's the first skim. It's pretty rough because the thing actually, it comes in a bit like this. There's a big dent, so it must have been knocked about a little bit, so I've tried to push it out as much as I can, and then it's, unfortunately, there's going to have to be a bit more filler than I'd like in there. So there's probably, I don't know, 3mm of filler, and it's still a little bit, so it needs another bit in there where it's a little bit down, and then sanding off here. Just a long, slow process, plenty of time to do it. Yeah, so that was it. Run the orbital polisher over the bonnet, and I'm really pleased how that's come up. You can't really see the finish, but the paint's pretty good, which I suppose it's only 20 odd year old, so it should be decent. Yeah, so it's going to be a bit of sanding, wait for the JB weld to set on these bolts here, and then the bumper will be back on. It's in reasonable condition. It looks like it's had a repair. There's a big blob of something there, so it might have had a hole pushed through it at some time, but the other side's okay. It just needs a scrub. It might need a bit of touch up, but it'll just fit in with the rest of the car. Yeah, there we go.